Thanks for tuning in to the Nindie Nation podcast, a weekly show dedicated to games for the Nintendo Switch, brought to you by independent developers. I'm Jeff, and joined by Josh.
I'm not sick anymore. Woo!
Yay! We're here to walk you through the growing catalog of fantastic indie titles, from the games and developers you already know and love, to the hidden gems inside Nintendo's digital gaming paradise. We'll discuss what we're playing, what we think you should be playing, and in our second half, we'll give you the full rundown of this week's Nindie sales and next week's new releases. But before we get into that, Josh, what has been keeping your Joy-Cons synced this week?
All right. Well, since I have been more stuffed up than I think I've ever been, I'm still coughing up phlegm and mucus and all that good, great stuff. I've been playing Salt and Sanctuary. And as you know, this game is very near and dear to my heart because it's a Souls-like. And
yeah, this is something that so what platform did you play it on previously?
I played it on PS4, I played it on Vita, and now I get to play it on the Wonder Switch, the place that I want to play it the most. It's a mixture of PS4 and Vita.
I thought you were going to say the Wonder Swan. I was like, the Wonder Swan? Really? It came out on that? I didn't know they're making games for that anymore.
But yes, this game was created by Ska Studios. They've done like Dishwasher Samurai. They have a really unique art style. But the creators actually said they wanted to create their most Dark Souls-like experience because they love that series so much. And if you wanted to play a 2D Dark Souls type of game, then Salt and Sanctuary is perfect for it. From the combat, they did such a perfect job of making the combat from 3D to 2D. It actually feels very intuitive. Using the magic, there's tons of armor and weapons, and there's a whole skill tree where you can go off, make your person more of a mage, learn magic, or more of just a brawler. And yeah, it's a game you have to experience because it has very good boss battles where they fill up the entire screen and it looks like you'll never defeat them, but then you figure something out and it's just I recommend it to anybody that wants a Dark Souls experience because we can't seem to get that game on the Switch yet. So
yeah, what's up with that? It seems like it's in trouble.
No doubt. I would expect to hear something soon, but we haven't. So that's sort of worrisome, actually.
Yeah. Like I keep saying, we're going to get another Direct, and we did get a Direct this week, but it was all about Smash.
You can't get enough Smash. Smash, yeah.
Wait. Can we say we can discuss Smash from the Direct because they announced that Shovel Knight will be an assist trophy?
Yeah. Woo! Of all the things.
He looks really good, though. He looks just like the amiibo.
Yeah. I love the attention to detail they do for that because even Simon Belmont, they have like his walking animation from like the original game.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to be so great.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. So Salt and Sanctuary, I will get into it, but I'm playing the mess out of Dead Cells right now. And so with that one, you're starting fresh every run. But this doesn't have that type of mentality to it, right? You're playing the same character each time. Like, how does progression in something like Salt and Sanctuary compare to something like Dead Cells or 20XTX or something like more traditional roguelike?
Well, it's pretty much, if you're familiar with Dark Souls or Demon Souls or any Bloodborne, any of those types of games, as you kill enemies, you gain their souls or the experience from them. And if you make it to a certain point and you die, then the souls are left in that general area and you lose everything that you had before then. And you lose some gold for a small fee, but that's not as important. So then there's, in the Soul series, there's bonfires that you rest at, but here there's like, sanctuaries, and that there's the different covenants, which they're called creeds, and Salt and Sanctuary are where you have like different gods that they worship, and you can align with something that might give you a strength bonus in an area or like more gold or something like that. So, and then in those sanctuaries, you can have like vendors come in. There's like these idols, stone idols you can use, like for a merchant or a blacksmith, and you only get a certain amount, so you have to be sort of strategic on where you place them because depending on how hard the level is, you may need like a blacksmith to forge better armor or something like that, or you'll have to go back to where they're at. But yeah, there. I mean, it's a very deep game, and I love how the level design is too, because it goes on top of one another. So you might go down to this dank, dark swamp area, but then there's a way that leads back to like the beginning of the game, and then
Hmm.
there's other areas built on top. It's a very thought out process of how you get back and forth between different stages. So in that sense, I mean, if you're familiar with Dark Souls, I mean, it's pretty much just the 2D equivalent.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
yeah, it's really neat. If you aren't into Dark Souls or don't like those types of games, then yeah, it might not be for you because it's pretty down pat with it for how much you're going to die and everything. But I love
That
those
sounds
games,
cool.
so yeah, it's perfect for me.
Good new port over to the Switch. We love seeing those to fill in the gaps. Not like we really have any gaps right now, and there's no lack of indies
You can
coming out.
find about anything you want there. So,
Yeah, just about, just about. What else have you been playing?
okay, how about Road to Valhalla? That's not
All
Valhalla, that's
right,
Valhalla.
ball
Yes,
holla.
this is that an actual game, and it's pretty much I describe this to you as like a Marble Madness Portal clone. So you take Portal with the humor involved with the robots and GLaDOS, how she like pesters you the whole time you're going
Uh
through it.
huh.
There's like this weird like AI person that messes with you as you go through the different courses, and there's even a part where it says do not enter this hole, and if you keep going in there, it said I said told you to stop, and then you just keep going. It's like, why do you keep going in there, and until they close it off. Yeah, it's clever though. It's very amusing. It controls well, and it actually has like a rhythm based mechanic
Hmm.
where you there's traps, these red traps on the floor. It's neon. It looks sort of like Tron in a sense, and they light up as the music goes along, and as you're rolling along you sort of have to time where and try not to hit the places as they light up. There's a pattern to it. So yeah, I'm really digging it. It's a lot of fun.
Hmm. Seem like there's a lot of content there. I mean, are there dozens or hundreds of levels or?
Yeah, there's about 30 stages, but I mean they're all pretty in depth, and there's checkpoints in between places, and yeah,
Okay.
there's collectibles. Like you can go off into harder areas and
Hmm.
try to gain all the collectibles, and there's speed runs too. And it's cool as as you collect the little orbs or the collectibles. It goes to the beat of the music too, so it's somehow,
Oh, I love that stuff.
yeah, you wouldn't think that could do that, but yeah, it just it just pings so well with the music. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I love any game where, the various interactions throughout the stages, whether it's picking items up or opening menus or clicking through text bubbles, when any of that kind of stuff is in sync with the music or trying to become a part of the music. I love when games do that. So that's really cool. I think I'm going
Yeah.
to check that one out. I might wait for a sale on that one. But that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Uh anything else from this week?
I'll hit on one last one here. It's called Flat Heroes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you haven't probably heard much about this, but it's a really, really cool game. It's a party type of game. It can go up to 4 players, and all you do is control a block, but you have a bunch of traversal options. So he can stick to walls if you hold a button, and you can wall jump off walls and dash in the air. And all you're trying to do, there's different stages. You're just trying to survive with these shots coming out, and there's different like homing enemies, and then there's ones that fire rockets at you, and all you have to do is survive. There's boss battles, Maybe you have to avoid one and get them to hit like against a wall
But
to
you're
damage them.
always just avoiding danger?
Yeah, pretty much. You have no
Huh.
offensive capabilities, and you have to use the walls. Like if there's shots coming from the left side, you have to be up against the wall, and then you have to be under something maybe. And yeah, it's a really clever mechanic. I've never really
So
played.
how do you defeat an enemy? Are you reflecting things back, or does the enemy just get, like, bored and walk away after a long enough
Most of
time?
them just explode after a while. So I
Oh,
guess it's more like
as you would.
yeah, yeah, of course. As something's firing, yeah, if it runs out of
Yeah.
rockets, it'll just explode. Or maybe you have to. There's
Video game logic.
yeah, of course. There's one enemy where or a boss that it's sort of like worms in a sense. Well,
Okay.
not worms, centipede, where he
Oh,
has like
okay.
a trail that follows him, and then you have to somehow get him to run into his own trail to damage him.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kinda what I was wondering, like, I'm just picturing, okay, so the stages are avoiding things and the bosses are then just avoiding different things, but it sounds like that's cool. I saw the developer, whose name is escaping me right now. I
Mm-hmm.
saw them tweeting about the game and, checked out a couple of their videos. Some of their promo content is really cool, the way it explains, kinda what's happening in the game. So you said I think you said it was a multiplayer game. So have you been playing it multiplayer?
Yeah, I played it with my kids, and
Oh, okay.
we had a blast with it.
Good. Good.
They were.
Good.
It's one of those games that you show and they're like, I don't really want to play this, but once you get into it, it's like a lot of dumb fun where you're just hitting
Mhm.
into things and you're just seeing who lives the longest. And yeah, it's
Mhm.
one of those types of perfect experiences. I mean, I really highly encourage anyone to pick it up because, like I said, it looks simple, like if you just look at it, but it's a lot of fun.
Quick side note, because we don't have enough of those. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
have Have you thought about now? You're well, two of your boys are older than my daughter. Have you ever thought about the fact that they're growing up in a house where there's always new video games?
I oftentimes say this. I'm like, you kids are the luckiest kids ever. Like, I would never have all this stuff. Like, it's pretty
Like,
amazing.
yeah, I mean, these kids nowadays growing up, they have no idea that I spent 2 solid months when I was, like, 7 years old playing through the Flintstones Rescue of Dino and Hoppy on the NES because it was the game I got for my birthday. Like, they don't know that struggle.
Yeah, our parents were never into video games, so
Yep. My mom or dad would play a game with me if it was like Tetris, and it's like Tetris came out in, I don't know, 89 or whatever. And it's like 93 and I'm, playing Ninja Turtles 4 on the Super NES. And they're like, "I'll play Tetris." Like, "Come on, mom, that's
you're
boring."
like, really? Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I digress. Well, cool. It sounds like a good week of gaming. Does that wrap it up for the most part?
Yeah, that wraps it up for the most. Those are the highlights. Like I said, I've been sick, so I've just been sort of laying around and
Yeah.
catching
Yeah.
up
No,
on
I hear you
shows like
there.
Glow and stuff like that. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, roller derby, right? Is that no, that's the wrestling
that's
one.
the
That's
wrestling
the
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, it's
cool,
great.
cool. Good stuff, good stuff. We'll talk about that on our independently developed, TV show,
Our
streaming TV
Netflix
show.
TV show
Yeah,
that's not out. Our
right.
show.
So this week I've been playing a couple of games. When I think our last podcast, I bought Operation Hardcore after reading the game's description. And I have to say it's cool. It's fun. It's really hard. I would suggest looking at the videos, watching a trailer, kind of getting your mind right if it's what you want. It plays as it looks. It plays like a Contra game. It's a side scrolling. It's got a very heavy feel to it. You can pick one of four characters. There's not a ton of difference between the four of them. And then after every level or so, there is a rest area between the levels where you can spend some points to upgrade abilities or whatever, and when you lose all of your lives, you start all the way at the beginning again. So, traditional, as we say every week, rogue-like with RPG elements, very, very light on the RPG elements and things like that. It's pretty much just a side-scrolling. Can you get to the end? It's brutal. It's tough. But if that's what you're in the mood for and you're thinking that Salt and Sanctuary seems a little too long for you, Operation Hardcore is a fairly short game. I think it only took me about 3 hours to get. I got almost all the way through it. I got to the area that I could tell was the last boss gauntlet, and then the next game I want to talk about came out, and
Mm.
that little game has stolen my heart. That game is Dead Cells. And we're gonna publish our own review about this one. Is it too soon to make that joke? Maybe it's timely.
Uh, let's not go there.
Okay, fair. So Dead Cells is a 2D side-scrolling roguelike. It is if Shovel Knight is the Mega Man is paying homage to Mega Man and DuckTales and the Capcom games of the NES. Dead Cells is doing the same to the Metroidvania games, and it is truly doing it to specifically Castlevania. You are trying to work your way out of this living island castle thing, and you start at the very bottom down in a prison, and you work your way through randomly generated dungeon levels, fighting all types of different enemies that have you doing all kinds of dodge rolls and leveraging traps and projectiles, and your weapons can be a sword or double knives or an electric whip or a bomb launcher or a bow and arrow, and the game really just kind of builds itself around you based on the type of character that you want to build. And I was telling Josh I was streaming it yesterday, and I intend on pulling that down and putting it up on our YouTube channel because I had an awesome run at the game. You start the game with about 100 HP. Most of my 20-30 minute runs, that would expand to maybe 2,000, 2,500 HP life points. And by the end of the run I finished yesterday, I had over 8,500 HP. I mean, I was just a beast. I'd been maxing out a bunch of my abilities. I think I might have gotten to the last boss gauntlet, but I couldn't hang. But very much looking forward to going back and playing that one. You said you played a little bit of it, right, Josh?
Yeah, not near enough to give an in-depth review about like you can, but I will say that it plays almost perfectly like a game you want to like. It's on the Celeste level of action combat, like what Celeste is with platforming. This just controls like a dream. So
It does. I was telling another friend that there aren't many games where like when I want to play it, I want to play Uncharted. It's like, all right, I want to see the spectacle. I want to see the story. I play Zelda. I want to see the exploration and get lost in it. But some games, it's all about like the feeling that you get playing it.
yeah,
And I totally get that from Dead Cells. Like the mechanics and the way the attacks connect and the platforming and getting around the environments, like all of that, I've got like a sense of how it feels and I know what to expect when I sit down. So yeah, I'm itching for it something fierce. I'm gonna have to play some more tonight if I can.
yeah. It's I need to play more. Period. But there's just so much to play that who knows when that time will come.
And I'm telling you,
uh,
we're getting another direct soon. We're gonna get one
oh,
soon.
geez, that's all we need.
One more direct. I'm still trying to work through games that came out the week of E3.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So, anything else that you've been dabbling in this week, or should we dive into what's coming out next week?
Let's go ahead and see what's coming out next week.
We were noticing before the show started that there's a there's a lot of PSVR games coming to the Switch. So, I'm gonna put a challenge out to the listeners. I would love to see someone build a at-home head-mounted Switch display just to pretend that your Switch was a PSVR of some sort. Just don't walk around or anything after you do that. I
I
don't
can,
want anybody getting hurt.
yeah, I can see you having a major lawsuit on your hands with little kids trying to putting this cardboard thing on. But
That's
Jeff
it. This
said
week
I
is gonna
could
be
do that.
rated explicit language or something so that no kids download it.
Oh, yeah. Or that's another nice game. See how many games you can find that are PSVR related. Coming out soon. Next week to be exact. Or no, this is 8/10. So that's
Tomorrow. That's
tomorrow.
Friday.
Whoa. Okay. Well, you can play Tiny Hands Adventure on 8/10. This is a platformer based off of like Crash Bandicoot and all those, where you play a T Rex, and I guess you get to customize his hands.
Oh, tiny hands because he's a little dinosaur.
Yeah,
I
haha,
get it. Okay.
clever.
Hey, this looks cool. It looks like it's got like the 2D and 3D platforming. Oh, I see the couple of shots that make it look just like Crash Bandicoot. This looks kind of neat. I'm gonna have to look out for this one.
Next, we have Nightmares from the Deep 2, and this I think is an adventure type of title from the screenshots I can see. So if that's your thing, I love that the Nintendo Switch has become like this renaissance of point click adventures. I think that's pretty cool. Next week, now officially next week, we have 2064 read only memories, and this came out for a variety of other systems. So you might have already played it, but from what it looks like, I haven't played it yet. It looks like pretty much an adventure title with an awesome art style, 16-bit retro feel made in
Yeah,
that
it's supposed to be hitting on lots of 90s, I think, nostalgia. Um,
cyberpunkish in a way.
yep, absolutely. I think it's mostly adventure game, and it's got some. I think it has some RPG stuff to it that might be like in a battle system, or maybe it's a leveling or something. But it's got great voice acting in it. It's got like
Yeah.
Dave Fennoy and Austin Creed and Jim Sterling. Huh. Got lots of people in here, and it includes a bunch of extra downloadable content that was previously extra.
Yeah.
And if you pre-order it, you get 10% off.
So there you go. Yeah, that's what it says. And the last part, it's integral. Read only memories integral because it adds all the or the add-on content. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have Cosmic Star Heroine, which
Mm-hmm.
that's a game you were excited for, Jeff.
Oh man, Cosmic Star Heroine is an indie developed game. It's actually being published by Limited Run Games. I didn't know that they were getting into the business. For those who don't know, lots of games that are digital only, something like a Shovel Knight, if a little indie game gets big enough or gets enough attention, Limited Run Games will often partner with the developer to put out a physical limited edition. You can go to Limited Run Games. I want to say they've released like 60 or 70 games now, and they usually make one or two runs of it. Buy them or they're gone, and there's a limited and standard edition. Go on there. You can see on their website what games they have slated next, and some of them are withheld as a surprise or for other announcements. But I have not seen them publish digital games or bring games to new platforms. So um, I bring this up because they are a Limited Run has been a huge proponent of extending the life of indie games and giving indie games more of a spotlight. So, if they are going to start bringing some games over to the Switch, if that's truly what they've done with Cosmic Star and Saturday Morning RPG, then that's great. The game itself, Cosmic Star Heroine, is like a Fantasy Star. So if you ever played like Fantasy Star 4 or any of the Sega Genesis RPGs, which is like Phantasy Star and like 2 other games. Um, Definitely worth picking up. I see great reviews from it. It is the most traditional four-party member JRPG style game that you can get. And as a bonus, if you are a fan of the turn-based system where you can see your characters on a line like Grandia or Child of Light or Octopath Traveler, it has that kind of system as well. So I am definitely going to be picking this one up, and I recommend other JRPG fans to do the same.
That is a ringing endorsement from Jeff.
That's what I'm
So
here for.
next we have State of Mind, which comes out on the 15th. And this looks like it's pretty expensive, $40 for an indie title, but it's by Daedalic Games, and they've done some pretty awesome stuff. It has a neat art style too. It's sort of futuristic. It looks like an adventure title though, so you can always check that out. On the 16th, we have Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
Mhm.
Hint, hint. This has been on other platforms. Um, I don't really know what to say because I played it in VR, and one person's in the VR unit trying to solve the bomb while the others have it on the TV screen, the instructions. So I'm guessing one person has the switch as the bomb, and then the others maybe print out instructions or yeah. Looks in it's fun. It's a fun party game though, so
Mhm.
that's your thing. We have next Johnny Turbo's Arcade, another one, and Nitro Ball.
Are
Yes,
you looking at this game?
I am
Are you
now.
Look at this. It looks like top-down Contra with a game of
Smash TV.
yeah, and like it almost looks like there's a pinball board or something that you're this is wild. This is yeah, you're right. It looks like Smash TV.
It might just have to be something we buy just to see what it is. Next, we have on the 16th Manual Samuel. This has been out for a variety of other systems by Curve Digital, and pretty much you're mutilating your main character, and I guess you get points by that. But I've never played it, so I don't know.
There's a screenshot of a mini game where you have to mash L and R and keep everything within like a certain meter, and he's got his pants down peeing, and it looks like death is walking up behind him. So there's that.
So if you're the sadistic type, then that might be your type of game there. Red Kingdom comes out on the 16th, and this looks like something you find in Farmville or something like that. Next up, Hero is next on the 16th.
This one looks cool. I'm digging this one. I'm getting a Cat Quest vibe from it a little bit, from the art style
You
at
know what
least.
vibe I'm getting from it?
What's that?
Bastion,
Oh
in a
yeah, I could
sense.
totally see that. Totally see that.
Maybe not as awesome art style, but it looks like plays just like that, which is cool.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of how Cat Quest played too. It's got that isometric view, so this game looks like it is a top-down isometric type of dungeon crawler action RPG though. And it has lots of cool customization when you're building out your level, so you can pick what type of geography you're looking at, how many enemies will be on screen, what types of difficulty curves you'll run into. This game looks
Yeah,
cool.
that
I'm
does
gonna
look.
watch this one too.
Yeah, that's one to keep your eye on, definitely.
Yeah, this
Castle
is up
Storm.
my alley.
Yep. Next, we have Castle Storm on the 16th. This has also been on a variety of other platforms from Zen Studios, so it's pretty much like a fortress taking down fortress multiplayer focus based action strategy title where you try to take down the other person's base. And my kids love it. They still play it on the PS3 upstairs. I haven't really followed it, so maybe your kids will like it.
Hmm.
Here we have Roboto on the 16th.
It's Bubble Bobble.
Yeah, with robots.
I mean, it's Bubble Bobble. It's exactly Bubble Bobble.
With
That's your review
robots.
with robots.
On the 17th, we have Treadnoughts. And this is like a multiplayer based shooter where you're tanks and there's looks like multiple stages and you're just trying to blow stuff up, blow the other opponents up. And
Did you ever play the like very generic version of this game that was built for TI-83 calculators?
I can't say I have,
No, that was really big at my high school.
but I do remember the calculators. Yeah, they had like the Block Boy or whatever.
Yeah, no, really. Like this I forget the name of the game. Somebody out there that went to high school in the 90s will remember, but it very much looks like you're like positioning your tank and then you're like looking at the wind speed and your trajectory of the items that you're going to fire or whatever and trying to take out the enemy. It's almost got like a battleship kind of element to it in that way.
Yeah,
Looks neat.
and finally on the 17th we have Polygod, and this has it looks like a first person shooter in like the I don't know what to say about this. A randomly generated roguelike first person shooter that looks like it has Quake, like the guns like right in front of
Mhm.
you,
Mhm.
with like Minecraft graphics. So
Yeah, and you're collecting souls.
they're trying to like gain up on that, Dark Souls crowd saying, hey, this first person shooter collects souls, roguelike. There you go.
I think we need to have a section where we create a Nindie cuz like it's like take element of 90s video games, take element of modern video game, pick random art style from any time in the last 30 years. That's how you make video games, right?
That's how
File
it is
save
now.
as
Yep.
file save as switch and you're done. Let's see. Well, good stuff. There's a couple of good things coming out to look for.
Yeah.
I think my pick for next week is Cosmic Star Heroine. What about you?
I'm going to go with that one game we were talking about. We just mentioned it. Where is it? Oh, next up, Hero. There we go.
Yeah, that one looks rad. Looks rad.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I'm digging it.
All right, let's see. We're going to jump into some deals and we made a slight change here because we were realizing two things. One, um, unfortunately, I mean, this is kind of an unfortunate reality, is that there is becoming a lot more, I don't want to call it shovelware, but there's a whole bunch of like 90-cent games and $1 games on the eShop. And that, yeah, they're technically independently developed, but we don't really know that anybody's listening so that they can dive into Plague Road, despite the fact that it's the number 8 best-selling game on the Switch right now because it's marked down to $1 from $15. But
That'll drive up your
so
sales.
yeah, so we're not gonna jump into every single game, and at the same time, a lot of these games, I mean, Nine Parchments, I think, has legitimately been on sale every week we've done this podcast.
Legit, yeah.
I mean, there's so many games like that that we're gonna pick a couple that we think are worth your time and money, and kind of try that out for a couple of weeks, so that we're not running away for 25 minutes on talking about all these plague roads out there. So
This literally goes on forever, this list.
yeah, it does. I think there were 79 games on sale this week, and
Yeah.
and half of them have been on sale for the last couple of weeks. So what picks are on your list for this week, Josh?
Okay, first up I have Fury. I think this is a newer one that just went on sale, but it's pretty much like a boss rush simulator type of game where the story's very, very convoluted, but it's in that Metal Gear Solid like vibe. And I really like the music is top notch. I think it has one of the best soundtracks in all of gaming as far as like
Wow.
dubstep and electronic music goes.
Hmm.
That's legit too. But yeah, it just has a very the art style is very unique too. It's very picturesque, but yeah, the boss battles it's like it plays like a twin stick shooter, but also like an action title, and it goes between different phases. And yeah, I highly recommend it. It was free on PS Plus. That's when I originally played it, but I also bought it for the Switch because I loved it so much. And there's
Mm.
also there is an easy mode. So because the bosses are very hard, like I said, the bosses are the main focus of the game. So they want to make it hard intentionally, and they're broken down. Each boss is broken down into different stages.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's not literally just like a fighting game. You're actually progressing
Yeah, and
through.
then like I said, it has different like shooting mechanics in there, and the boss that's just like one boss. Different mechanics with each boss, and then some QTEs maybe, and yeah, it's pretty awesome though. So that's one I highly recommend.
Cool. Yeah, and that one is usually $20. It's on sale for $12 right now. Can't go wrong for $12.
Yep.
I want to touch on I put it out to the group on Facebook about which game I should play, and I kind of held off because I saw Dead Cells looming. But right now, I am going to make my weekly game purchase, and I'm going to buy a bomb chicken because it is usually $15, and in its second week on the eShop, it has dropped 40% to $8.99. And so, through the magic of Skype, I can prove to Josh that I am buying it right now. See, look, I'm buying it.
All I have to do is click confirm.
No, that's the close. I'm
Oh,
already done.
you're already done.
No,
Wow.
it's done. Look, I got that bomb chicken sitting right next to Dead
Oh,
Cells
it's
and
downloading now.
Operation Hardcore. Yeah, it's going. Watch, now we're going to lose our connection because I'm downloading something.
Yeah, show your screen again. Is your credit card number up there? No,
Yeah.
that's. uh, well, there you go. Weekly purchase in the books.
Nailed it. What else is on your list for the week?
Okay, I'm gonna hit on Crypt of the Necrodancer, which I don't own for the Switch yet, but this is usually 19.99 and it's down to 7.99. That's 60% off, so that's a great deal. And this is a neat retro, like rhythm-based dungeon exploration title. What I mean by rhythm-based is that each dungeon is based off of a song, and you have to go to the beat of the song to like injure enemies, and all the enemies also have their own movement patterns based on the song that's playing. And yeah, it was really neat. It's very hard because you have to actually get it with the rhythm and move with the rhythm, and if you're off, your score multipliers go down, and like damage goes down and stuff like that. So um but yeah, it was really fun, so I highly recommend.
So in that game, do your button presses have to be in time with the music, like as an actual rhythm game, like an amplitude or something like that?
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be in the rhythm of the music when you're just moving around. Like
Okay,
it
but then
should be.
the character will, like, if you're just holding on forward, the character will only move in the beat of the song.
Yeah, because it'll just you have to move in the beat of the song, so he'll sort of just go bump bump bump, up like against the
Got it.
invisible wall, and then when the beat goes, then he'll go or she'll
Got it.
go. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, the enemies they also have their own movement patterns based on different beats. Like they may move two squares, one jump, and then one square with another beat, and then you have to time your beat to actually hit with them. So you push up and you attack by pushing a directional button into the enemy, and you just have to make sure that their time when they move is not when you're still, or else they'll hit you and deal damage.
Got it.
So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That sounds
it's
cool.
pretty in depth. It's very hardcore, and it can be difficult, but it's a lot of fun still. So
That sounds really neat. I want to
yeah.
hit on a another multiplayer option. I see that Raging Justice, which has only been out for a month or so, is on sale, 40% off as well. It's $8.99 as well. If you haven't seen this game, first of all, it's like Final Fight or Streets of Rage or anything like that. And the art style is really interesting. It almost looks like realistic claymation. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but like the characters have lots of shadows and lots of depth, but they also kind of look like they were painted with a watercolor. Um, it looks, I mean, it is a classic beat 'em up. You're walking left to right. Every character's got a life bar. You're beating them up. You're picking up things like bats and barrels and throwing them at characters, building up combos. I don't know how hard the game is, but I've heard great things about it. And if you are looking for that fix of a arcade beat 'em up, this seems like a great option for you.
Awesome. Um, there's so many great deals. I'm just gonna hit on one more though. Like you could get Floor Kids. That's nearly 40% off. Or Frost. I really enjoyed that as a deck survival building game. But I'm gonna hit on Shift Quantrum because I think this is a very underrated puzzler where you actually shift the environment and you go into like there's squares. You're in a square like holding place, and then there's black blocks, and then you can change those over to white, and then he'll pass into the blocks, and you sort of have to solve puzzles. It's almost one you have to just look at to really get a concept of. But yeah, as it explains, it'll literally bend your mind, and judging by how I'm explaining it, yeah, it will bend your mind. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
highly
it
recommend it.
looks yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty I mean, the screenshots make it look like a fairly standard 2D puzzle platformer, but whoa, when you look at the video and you see some of those effects, that is pretty
Yeah,
rad.
it actually the backgrounds and stuff they look really cool, and there's actually a really good story with it too.
Hmm.
So instead of this like noir futuristic city, and yeah, it's one I would recommend checking it out if you like in depth puzzlers that really challenge you.
Yeah, and it's another good option by so this one's developed by Red Panda Interactive, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like it's the only released game by them. So we love seeing new entrants with solid games coming onto the eShop. So definitely support those if that's something that is in your wheelhouse. Now I can't
Definitely.
see, but I can't see because I already own it. But it looks like both variants of Shovel Knight are on sale. That is the Spectre of Torment, which was a launch title on the Switch, or if it is the entire treasure trove. Don't be like me. Don't buy the Plague of Shadows and then make the decision that you actually do want to own Shovel Knight on the Switch as well. Just go buy Shovel Knight on the Switch. It should I think if we ever do a must have games for the Switch, I don't see any way that Shovel Knight is not on there. That game is incredible and a must
Yep.
play Nindie, I think, from anybody.
Agreed.
So we got a little bit of good news coming up soon. I wanted to touch on this before we shut down for the week. But we got two games coming from the UbiArt studio inside of Ubisoft. And I mention it because the games are great and they were developed. Yes, they were developed under the loving care of Ubisoft and with the publishers' funds and all that kind of stuff. But the games were given a lot of creative freedom and handed off to, let's see, the first one, Child of Light. That was like the director of Far Cry 3, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But the two games are Child of Light and Valiant Hearts. Both really neat games that try to do something different in their genres. I'll say to Child of Light, it's a awesome RPG, a JRPG that gives you the experience of like a 40 to 60 hour RPG in about 8 hours. And so I might replay it for the third time. That game is incredible and very highly recommended. And you said you played Valiant Hearts and you were really fond of that one, right, Josh?
Yeah, that's it's heart wrenching, really. It has a simple art style, very similar to Child of Light, but man, it's tells the story of different soldiers and people during the events of World War I, and it's based off it's adventure gameplay where you have to solve some puzzles and but some simple puzzles and some more hardcore ones that physics based. And yeah, it was a really neat experience just from a storytelling standpoint and history. Like there's some in-depth history lessons you can learn from it too. So
Really?
yeah,
Huh.
it's really like newspapers that you find and historical documents. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would almost use it like in a classroom setting, to talk about
Interesting.
World War I. It's a really neat game.
You can tell the developers really did their homework and put some care into it. That's always nice to see.
Yeah, yeah. Both those games though. Yeah, that's awesome news to hear that they're finally coming to the Switch.
Absolutely. We've got some other announcements coming up soon. I'm sure about other games coming out. Always new announcements for the eShop. And so we'll be here to bring those to you whenever possible. In the meantime, you can find us on youtube.com/Nindie Nation, where you can find our episodes of the show as well as uploads of Let's Plays. We've got 20XDX up there right now. I'm going to put up Dead Cells soon. And I do
Yes.
think I want to try to do an Operation Hardcore run, but I am no good at that game. It's hard.
I need
So
to see what that game is, so yeah, you should.
it's fun. It's fun. It's I think you get the gist of it in about a 15-minute block, so it'd be good for a Let's Play. Also check us out on Facebook. You can it's facebook.com/Nindie Nation, or you can obviously search for Nindie Nation. Join the community. We're in there posting every so often about topics for the show or recommendations for games, things like that. Always love to hear from the community. You can find me on Twitter at Nindie Jeff. You can find Josh at minus the Brant. And you can find the show, both of us, at Nindie Nation. And Josh, why don't you tell them about the Nintendo Village?
Yes, there's this awesome site that we're hosted through called the Nintendo Village, and over there you can find news, reviews, and the main thing are the shows. They have a bunch of um, Nintendo-based shows that you should check out, like Switch Talk. And there's a new show called the Hypecast, which is like a live Saturday show hosted by Antonio Guillen, who's done fantastic work for the site. And yeah, go over there and support the fine people that make this show happen.
And they had some really good news the last few days. There was a feature in Apple or on the iTunes where they had a big boost in listeners. I forget what it was. I saw something on Twitter. Do you recall that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't recall what it is exactly, but yeah, I mean, the listenership just went skyrocketed for some reason. So
Must be that new Nindie show they're working with.
yeah, as soon as we come on, we just bump it all up, So
Right, right. Well, thank you to anybody that came over from Nintendo Village to give us a listen, and thank you to everybody else that decided to tune in this week. We look forward to interacting with you guys online and hearing your thoughts about the various Nindies out there. Anything else to add for this week, Josh?
no, man, we covered it all.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Josh, as always. Until next week, Nindie Nation is out.